and welcome to SKG Pro Racing Series Round 8 for Silverstone. We are going to enjoy a fantastic race here today. Apologies, there is no camera. I unfortunately am still in the process of moving house and am once again streaming from my grandparents' kitchen. So there is no face cam for tonight's race, but hopefully all should be fixed for next week and beyond, so it shouldn't be an issue from here on out after today's race. But let's take a look at today's track, which is of course going to be Silverstone. Two DRS zones, 3.6 miles of racing action here at Silverstone. What a race we have on our hands, as now we dive into qualifying. Here we go then, ladies and gentlemen. We are just waiting for the game to stop bugging out, and then we will be underway here in a few moments' time. It says the clock has begun ticking in qualifying, but sometimes that clock can just randomly go up. But it is going to be a very interesting race, as now we begin to see drivers come out on to the track. Let's get everything that we need up for this session, as George Ansell retires from the session before it is even fully begun, potentially serving a qualifying ban or something of that nature. As first out onto the track is Alex Osinas for ONB, with the Red Bull of Aaron Ramirez alongside him as well. The white ball there, and Silverstone, what a track it of course is. We see Aaron using the tyre warming method that is considered the best in F125. Personally, I think it's a weird one, but that is the weird and wonderful game that we call F125. Sometimes the weirdest things are the ones that work. And now, okay, I just check one thing, as now we head towards Maggots and Beckids here with Aaron Ramirez on his prep lap. A little bit of space here between himself and the Haas behind. Of course, slipstream could be pretty useful here. So if the Haas can set himself up far enough away that he's not going to be affected by dirty air, but close enough that maybe he can get a tow, then they will be in business. Will OMB. Morning, evening Tater, how are you doing? As now here we go, on board with Aaron Ramirez for the first lap of qualifying. Here we go then, towards turn one. Lovely through there. Now turn 2, and then for turn 3, you're spotting the braking zone just before the 50 board. Nip it in, and then you immediately get your car positioned for the left-hander. Get a good exit through here, and then applying a little bit of ERS. DRS opens now, and you're going to be making sure your car doesn't bottom out down this straight towards the end of the first sector. 26.885 for Aaron Ramirez. And now around the right-hander, lovely, keeping it nice and tight through there. And now ERS once again being deployed as towards Cops we go. Of course, a very, very difficult corner. Sometimes Alejandro Loureiro also retires from the session in the pit lane, our second retirement of today's qualifying session. And now you're through Maggots, now to Beckids. Lovely through there from the white ball and up to the second sector, split to 101.455. Brilliant time so far from Aaron Ramirez being put in. And now Max Walpers also retiring from the session. 1 AMR, 1 ETA and 1 BRC all retiring so far as now. Here we go. Up to the line comes Aaron Ramirez. It's 124.664 there for him, as Alex Osinas up to the line. That's a 25.0. And now up to the line comes Balin Elikas, a 124.8. As now we will go to Thomas Rebotham here, as there We see Carano Richel put in a 25-3. Alex Santana put in a 24-8. Adam Stagnik puts in a 25-3. Tachubi puts in a 25-2. Casper puts in a 25-0. Good times coming in as now we ride on board with Thomas Robotham. Now to the line he goes. It's a 25-036. Only 100th of a second faster than his teammate Alex O'Cenas. As now we go on board with Zozo. Up to the line he goes. 25-0 for him. Now D'Amico puts in a 24-9. Up to 4th place for him. And now, next across the line will be Bennett Harder. Up to the line, 25-1. Only a few more to go here. Only Fab Donoso and Molimo to put in laps, who are still remaining in the session. Molimo's ET8 teammate of Max Walpers has, of course, retired from the session as now. Through Vale goes Molimo, round the final corner, up to the line. It's 25-009 P5 for the Mercedes now, as we now head to Fab Donoso. 26-8, purple to the first sector, according to the game. FST 4-5, red flag quali, please. Hopefully not. Hopefully not for them, at least, for FST. They'll be hoping for a good qualifying. Now, here comes Fab Donoso to the split. 101-426. Purple to the second sector as well, according to the game. Well, 4-5 is good. Oh, I see what you mean now. Okay. I thought you meant... I didn't read that correctly. Yes. I mean, they would be hoping if they were 4 and 5 to get a red flag. I see what you mean now. I didn't clock it the first time. But I see what you mean now. Is now up to the line comes Fab Donoso. 24-637, provisional pole for the TRT driver. Up to P1 he goes by just over 0.02 of a second. As now that is going to be everyone into the pit lane. Get me in this race, easy P1. Hamilton has entered the chat, and whilst we're in the pit lane, shall we, in a few moments' time, take a look at the championship standings? As I just very quickly need to get a couple of things up. Here we go then. Let's take a look at the standings. Okay, so here are the standings. So in P1 is still Florian Fanzelter, Dennis Lang on 101 points, Dennis Langrock on 53, then it's Victor Widler on 39, Alex Santana on 39 as well, tying his teammate Lucas Beisner, their teammate as well, 38 points, only a point behind them. Aaron Dominguez on 37, then it's Tachubi on 32, Thomas Setuelia on 32, Oliver Knott on 29, and then Tamas Kokeni on 28. That is the top 10 of the driver's standings. And then the team standings look like this. TRT on 166 points. Tatum ResTech leading the way at the moment. Thomas Eng Sim Racing on 152 in second, with Venturi Esports on 133. AMR in fourth on 118, with RSC then a long way back on 38. BRC are only 3 points behind RSC, who are now on 35 points. ET8 4 points back on 31. Then it's OMB on 24. And then bringing up the final two spots are FST on 19 and FCT on 10. And that is how we look for the championship standings, as now we transition back over to the game. Here we go then. We've got drivers back on outlaps now. And we are riding at the moment with Kairano Richel. Who is going to be the first to begin the next of his laps. As you see there, Fab Donoso now in the pit lane. The only driver left in the session who is not out on a track. So they're all going to be squabbling for track position. Meanwhile, there are absolutely no worries for track position for Kyrano Ritual, but you do wonder, is he going to get caught in a little bit of traffic here? As now, towards turn 3 he goes. Lovely through there. Now putting the power down, ERS being used. DRS opens now. And now towards the end of the first sector. Now braking down to 4th gear. 5 thousandths of a second up, so finding time, but not a significant amount at the moment. He'll need just under a 10th to get close to his teammate Tachubi. The two RBs and RSCs are running in 13th and 14th respectively at the moment, as now only about 30% ERS left at Kyrano Ritual's disposal for the final DRS zone, as now he will open the flap. He's 600ths of a second down. He's not going to hit any particularly major traffic. He might get held a little bit towards Vale, as now round Stowe he goes, and that's going to be an invalidation, and that will see him in to the pit lane there. As now we ride on board with Zozo, who makes his way to the end of the second sector, and as you see there, it's a 101.595, half a 10th up on his previous best at the moment. That will be enough to jump him past Malimo of ET8, but it won't get him any further than that. But only a little bit more time will see him past his FST teammate of Demaiko as well. So now here comes Zozo up to the line, 24.825, third place there for him. Nice lap time for him, as now we ride on board with Balint Elquez, as Noah Rouser puts in a 24.7 and Balint Elquez puts in a 24.632, 5 thousandths faster than his TRT teammate Fab Donoso, who is 400ths of a second up at the moment. Aaron Raminguez is down to P3. Alex Santana has just stuck in a 24.7 back up to 4th place. The two FSTs are tumbling here, but Demaiko is 2/10ths of a second up, so he will be putting himself in that mixer for 4th place at the moment as things stand. Just a little bit more pace, and he could potentially see himself past the likes of Fab Donoso, past Aaron Raminguez. We will see, as now up to the line comes the Williams. It's 4th place. It's a 124.701 gained, about 5 thousandths of a second, as Aaron Raminguez puts in a 24.555 up to P1. But what about Fab Donoso? Was half a 10th up through the first 2 sectors, as now he heads through Vale. Now through the double right, keeping it nice and clean, a little bit of a snap, and up to the line it's a 24.571. Not quite enough to move himself back past Aaron Raminguez. And now that, I believe, is everybody's laps completed. Yes, it is going to be. So we will have drivers back into the pit lane now. We will have cars on track for now. But of course, this will be people preparing for their final runs. And it is all looking quite close at the moment in qualifying, isn't it? If we look, I mean, you take a look at 4th down to 10th. There's barely 2.5 tenths in it. 4th down to 9th, there's about a 10th and a half. So things are ridiculously close at the moment, I think it's fair to say. But let's move to the calendar. Looking now at the calendar, so we've had the first 7 rounds, and now we're of course on Britain, and the final 4 races of the season after this one, 5 including the race coming up in a few moments' time. But we have Britain today, we have Spain on the 1st of May next week, and then it is Monza, then it's Brazil, and then the season finale at Abu Dhabi ending on May 22nd, when we will only be a few weeks away, hopefully, from the F1 26 DLC, which I think could raise quite a few eyebrows, because there's a lot of talk surrounding the DLC and the extent that it's going to go to, whether it's just going to be the F1 26 cars overlaid on the 25 handling model, or if there's going to be a little bit more to it. But now, heading back over to the game, we can see we now have people coming out for their final runs. And it is going to once again be Kyrano Richel who is going to be first out onto the track. Three minutes left to go in this session. Kyrano has come out at a point where if he were to invalidate his next lap, he would have time to potentially go for one more. So he's given himself a nice little buffer for if he were to mess up a little bit. That is a buffer that I don't think anyone else will have. Maybe the Sauber of Dark Zanace will have it as well, but I don't think there'll be anyone else who will be able to have that luxury that Kyrano Richel has given himself, as now we see him making his way through the final sector and will start his final lap very soon. He wouldn't go again, surely. Soft's terrible. I'm more mean if he invalidated early, but yeah, Soft will be absolutely appalling. Maybe if he were to invalidate early, he could do it, but yeah, you're probably right. If he invalidates through Maggots and Beckett's, there probably won't be enough grip left in the tyres, and probably not enough energy either. But now Kyrano Richel here through the first sector pretty cleanly up towards the split. Has he gained some time? He's 2/100ths of a second up, so moderate gains being made at the moment, but it's not really going to be enough to move himself further up the order. He will at the moment be starting in P15, which is of course not where you want to be. You want to be in the points and fighting for a good position, which is not quite something the RSC driver has been able to do thus far today. And now towards the end of the second sector, he is dead on his previous best, according to the game, which is, I've never seen that before on a split where the driver is literally exactly on their previous best. As you see there, a car just about getting on the way, maybe a little bit too much curb taken there by the RB. As now round the final corner out to the line comes Kyrano Richel. It's 2/10 improvement at 25.1. Goes up to 14th place, but Adam Stachnik is on a lap. And of course, Kyrano Richel has finished so far. And as you see, we have drivers all on laps at the moment. We will stay on board with Fab Donoso, as because of those at the top, he is the most advanced at the moment. Towards the end of the second sector, half a tenth down, and has invalidated his lap time, as we will now go to Aaron Reminguez, who is making his way through Maggots and Beckett here, and we will see what is his time looking like at the moment. He is a 10th up. He's finding exactly what he needs to be on pole position. But what about Balin Elikas, who is of course still in the running for pole, 2,000ths up, which is of course not going to be enough. He needs about another 2 tenths to even be in with a shout of getting pole position here. As Zozo puts in a 24.6. What about Aaron Reminguez? It's a 24.396. Balin Elikas, one of the only ones still in the running for pole. Up to the line he comes to 24.609. Goes up to third place. just about a quarter of a tenth found on his lap there. What about Alex Santana? Was only 100th of a second up. That's a big snap, and that will be the end of his lap. And now we go to Bennett Hadder, who now comes up to the line. It's a tenth and a half up to 24.871, but it's not enough to go on to pole. Or go up the positions rather. As come on, Zozo. Yeah, Zozo doing well up to 4th place. FST 4 and 6. They weren't far off the position. Can you turn your phone vibration off? Is that here? Sorry, that is apologies. I didn't know that was hearable. It's because I'm using my phone to read the chat. Where's Don't Serve? There we go. My apologies about that, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. It should be off now, but there we are. That is the end of qualifying. And here we go. One last rundown. How we will start the race. Aaron Raminguez P1, Fab Donoso P2, Balin Elikas P3, Zozo 4th, Noah Raza 5th, D'Amico 6th, Molimo 7th, Alex Santana 8th, Alex Osinas 9th, Thomas Robotham in 10th, Dark Zanace 11th, Casper 12th, Bennett Hadder 13th, Tachuvi 14th, Adam Stachnik 15th, Kairana Richel 16th, Alejandro Lorero 17th, first of those who didn't set a lap time, Max Walpers and George Ansell. That is how we line up into the race. We will be back in a few moments, ladies and gentlemen, with 26 laps of Silverstone. Don't go anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now to the 5 red lights. And we're underway here in Silverstone. It's a good start by Fab Donoso, but an even better one by Aaron Raminguez, his teammate of Balin Elikes, up to 3rd place from the start. Zozo dropping down to 4th place. Around the outside he goes, though. Really, really good stuff. He gets forced out wide, gets hung out to dry massively. Down to 12th place he goes now. D'Amico and Molino are fighting for 4th place here. And Molino's had a really good start, as now he's going to have the slipstream towards the end of the first sector. Not quite able to make a move there. We'll get everything we need up now. There we go. As now we go to Alex Osinas, who is one of only 4 drivers to start on the hard tyres in today's race. It's going to be really important. Oh no, sorry, that's Darkens and Eyes who started on the hards. Alex Osinas is on the mediums. I was looking at the wrong thing. My apologies. Darks and Eyes, though, it's going to be really important for him to keep those hards in a nice window. As now Casper up to 11th. Zozo dropping down the order rapidly on this first lap. If we look at position changes, he has dropped down 10. It has really not been a good start for him. But at the front, it's been relatively flying formation between the rest of them. There's not been too many overtakes. As George Ansel up to 17th place. They're getting himself past Max Walpers. And now there's a battle between Bennett Hatter and Adam Stachnik with Aston Martin. The TS driver getting hung out to dry a little bit there by Bennett, but just about they all get through cleanly. And now Zozo looking to begin his recovery drive. On the back of him is now ERS using down the inside. He goes into turn 3, which is going to switch to the outside. Gets given the squeeze a little bit by the Aston Martin and can't quite make it through. As now up to 6th we go. Alex Santana here using his DRS. The Mercedes of Molino pulling across, trying to cut off his attack. And around the outside goes Alex Santana. It's not quite going to pay off, and he will have to stay behind at least for another couple of corners, unless he tries to move into Cops Corner, which, as we saw in real life between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen, quite often does not end well. As we head back towards the top here, Aaron Raminguez is under pressure from Fab Donoso here, whose pace is looking really good at the moment. Everyone's still within DRS of each other thus far, but of course it is only lap 2 of 26, so that is something you would expect, as Aaron has to do a little bit of defensive work, pull across, and then cuts back to the racing line once he knows he is safe. And now Donoso will be looking to try and overtake relatively soon. As Aaron, of course, puts in the fastest lap of the race. As at the back, Max Walpers and Tsubi having a little race there. Up to 18th goes the ET8 driver. And now we ride with Fab Donoso, 4/10 back from the AMR driver, who currently leads this race. Not quite close enough, though, to make a move, and you do feel that this is going to be a race of DRS trains. I think we're going to have some very big trains at the moment. 1st to 9th, all very close. And then Darks and Eyes on those hard tyres is sticking with them, but is not exactly crazy close, but he is still within DRS. He'll need to sort of lurk around there, not lose DRS in order to make this hard strategy he is going for work. It's probably going to be the reverse of what these guys are doing. Hard, he's going to be doing hard medium, whilst all the others you would imagine are going to be doing medium hard. Soft tyres are not a viable race tyre here, as pretty much everyone who plays this game knows. Soft's pretty much not a viable tyre anywhere except for in qualifying. As now on to lap 4 we go. And it's all relatively calm at the moment. As I say that, Tsubi picks up a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane and retires from the session. That is his race over. And then there were 18. He leaves as well for good measure. Alex Osinas down the inside on Noah Raza, who's going to try and fight it round the outside but the OMB driver will get the better traction and will complete the overtake up to 8th place. Goes Alex Osinas, and Noah Raza has to settle for 9th place, at least for now. The luxury that Noah does have now is that it is his teammate behind him on those hard tyres, so at least for now he won't be under a significant amount of pressure. And if it were to be that Darks and Eyes was significantly faster, there would probably be a switch of positions, and then they would allow the second of the two FCT drivers at the moment to have a crack at the rest of the field, because the crossover point for mediums versus hards will be coming relatively soon. You would imagine it'll be about lap 7 or 8 if you had to hazard a guess. As now it's still the two TRT drivers chasing down Aaron Raminguez in P1 at the moment. But Aaron is doing a very good job at the moment of maintaining a bit of distance. He's 6/10 up the road. He does look to potentially be breaking DRS a little bit. He's going to have to push quite hard to do that though, you would imagine. As now looking at Adam Stachnik, who was in 13th place and did for a moment look like he was going to line up an overtake on Bennett Hatter, but nothing doing for him at the moment. And now we are very much in a race of waiting, at least until we hit the pit stop phase. It's going to be a race of waiting. There's not going to be too much fighting. They're going to be taking care of their tyres, and then once we hit the pit stop phase, the undercuts, we'll see how powerful that will be. I think the undercut here is going to be pretty powerful. I know it's quite good in this game anyway, but I feel like, especially at Silverstone, it will be quite strong. Now still, things that remain the same towards the top. And it's going to be interesting to see, when does Dark Zanais, when do his tyres start coming good in comparison to those ahead of him? Because of course, he is the lead hard-tyred runner at the moment. The next driver is Alejandro Loureiro, who is in 15th place at the moment, whereas Dark Zanais is of course in 10th. So when are these hards going to start being the better tyre? And when will we fully see that, I suppose? As now Alex Osinas quite close behind his teammate Thomas Rebotham. These two in a good position where they can work together to try and attack the lone Ferrari of Alex Santana in this one. The lone VNT in the race from what I... Oh no, Bennett Hatter is down in 12th place. The lone Ferrari at the top of the field, at least, within the points. As now... a little bit of ERS usage there from Alex Osinas. But now we're going to go back to the top as Fab Donoso goes off track quite significantly. Aaron Raminguez on the recharge there. And now will Fab have a little look at a move through here. Now ERS deploys. DRS will open now. And towards Stowe is Fab Donoso going to think about it. Aaron Raminguez parks his car in the middle of the track. Nothing quite opening itself up there for TRT, unfortunately for them, so they will have to sit behind once again. And that has become a theme of this race thus far, just waiting, waiting and waiting at the moment. Still, by the way, nobody has lost DRS as of yet. We're in one big 18-car DRS train, pretty much spanning from the start of this straight to the end of it, which is probably going to how it's end up remaining until at least the pit stop phase. As we will head down to Casper. who at the moment is very close to the back of Dark Zanise, who is of course on those hard tyres. You do have to wonder, will all those medium tyres be starting to fall away ever so slightly? And will the hards become the better tyre? When is that going to happen? DRS now for Casper. But it's not going to be enough to get close, as we have seen quite frequently so far this race. It's going to be interesting to see as well. How did TRT play this one? Because they have two drivers up there. Once you get Fab Donoso or Balin Elikas in front of Aaron Ramirez, if you can do that, you have control of the race. You can sort of use your lead driver to try and get your second driver past as well, and then make it a 1-2. You can start to control things a little bit, and that is the advantage. They have this being a 2v1. D'Amico lurking about 8.5 tenths in the background at the moment. He's not really playing a factor in this battle at the moment, as Thomas Reboffen, by the way, is also starting to lose touch with Alex Santana in 6th, who in turn is dropping back from Melimo, who is in 5th. So it could become a 4-car train for the lead pretty soon as things stand. Now Aaron Ramirez, as you see there, on the recharge button. So now we head towards lap 9 of 26. Aaron Ramirez going to dive into the pits very early, as does Balin Elikas, doing exactly what the AMR driver decides to do, and that will now leave Fab Donoso in the race lead and away from D'Amico at the moment, who needs to push to get back into DRS on the TRT driver. But now we will see, what is the undercut going to be like? How powerful is it going to be? That's going to be a very long stint as well on those hard tyres for Aaron Ramirez. 18 laps for him on those hard tyres. It's going to be a difficult one. But the hards will go the distance. It's just probably not going to be very comfortable for them, as we will actually keep an eye on Aaron Ramirez and and Balin Elikas here. See how their progress looks. We'll ride on board with the AMR, at least for now, to see how much he gains on the cars ahead. Of course, Max Walpers ahead of him is on old hards. He is on new hards. What is the pace advantage going to look like? And by the way, D'Amico has not been able to stay with Fab Donoso, so he is going to peel into the pits to try and undercut, get himself back in to that DRS range here. And Donoso will enter lap 10 of 26. And he is one of 6 drivers that have yet to come into the pits, and 2 of them are on the hards. We've got a few more now. It's 9 drivers total who have yet to come into the pit. So half of our grid today have now pitted. And we will see, where does D'Amico rejoin in comparison to Aaron Ramirez? He's going to rejoin quite a way back, actually. That is going to be about 3 seconds behind him. So the undercut here, quite clearly, incredibly powerful. What was pole? 24.5? Potentially. I actually can't remember, to be completely honest with you. I feel like it was something like that. Or 24.4. It was 24.3. Okay. Yeah, I couldn't actually remember. Fab, right. No, it was Aaron Ramirez, who currently is in 10th place, but he is the lead of those drivers who have pitted. He was the one to take pole home. Fab Donoso actually invalidated his final run. Yeah, he did a 0.5, which was his second run. He was unable to improve because he invalidated his final run, so didn't get the opportunity to go faster. As now you see Bennett Hadder into the pits. Balin Elikers has been able to close back up to Aaron Ramirez, but the top three going a lot longer than those ahead of him. Fab my goat. Yep, he'll go. Alex Ocenas says fastest lap of the race there in 13th place. Of course, it won't be 13th for too much longer because once the pit stops happen, he will move up the order a little bit from that. His OMB teammate of Thomas Rebotham is one of those who has stayed out significantly longer. Well, you're not wrong, Carl. You're not wrong. That is what's up. As now let's head back to the top. Here's Fab Donoso. Is he now going to commit to the pit lane? Or will he stay out once again? Yes, he is going to come in. What about Thomas Rebotham? He's going to stay out. Alex Santana also going to stay out as well. And now we will see what the undercut for those Fab was racing is like. As here is Aaron Ramirez now. Through Stowe and coming now towards Vale. And Fab Donoso, we look, has just got himself out of the box, but his box is pretty far down the pit lane, I think it's fair to say. So now Aaron Ramirez overtakes Fab Donoso, and now he will cross the pit lane line. But Fab will have quite a lot of overtaking to do to get himself back to Balin Elikers and Aaron Ramirez. But he does have the advantage of 3 lap newer tyres from now until the end of the race. As now Alejandro Loureiro going to have a little look on Dark Zanice, who went off track quite significantly. Max Walpers gets the first 3-second penalty of the race. And now, as you see, Aaron Ramirez 7 seconds behind the next car, which is Max Walpers, who is, of course, yet to pit. As now it's all chopping and changing, because there have been some pit stops, but now Alejandro Loureiro very close to the back of Dark Zanice. He's using the RS. He has a little think about it, but he's not going to go for it there. But now what about towards turn 3? Is that going to be a late braking opportunity? He tries it, but he's not quite late enough on the brakes in order to make it work. As now we see Aaron Ramirez moving himself up to 6th. Still the net race leader as things stand. As now there you see Alejandro Loureiro did get himself past Dark Zanice up to 3rd place. This is an interesting overcut. Yeah, it was a relatively big undercut from the likes of Fab Donoso, but it's an even bigger one from Alex Santana, who is still on the mediums, by the way. And then there's Loureiro, Zanice, Karana Ritual, and then Max Walpers, who have all started on the hard, so they're probably going to be going to, what, lap 16? At least, maybe 17 even. Too many fast guys in TRT now, yeah. TRT have some very, very good drivers. As now Alex Santana does finally come into the pits. And we now enter lap 14 of 26. Half race distance has been completed. And the second half It's shaping up to be interesting as well, as you see Fab Donoso here absolutely crawling over the back of D'Amico in 9th place at the moment. That is going to be net 5th place. He is in at the moment, Fab Donoso, with D'Amico in net 4th. There's now plenty of DRS to burn down the first DRS straight, but he's not going to be close enough to go for it. Is D'Amico going to gain on Molimo? He gains a bit, but not enough to get an overlap with Molimo. At the top, Alejandro Loureiro has now broken DRS to Dark Zenice. And then you see behind Aaron Ramirez is catching every lap. 3.7 seconds stands the gap between him and Max Walpers at the moment. Fab Donoso now gets himself past D'Amico with a late braking move, and Zozo picks up a 10-second and retires in the pit lane. That is the end of his race. So there are 17 even drivers left in this race. Bennett Hadder, second fastest lap, trailing it there with Thomas Rebotham. And now all eyes on Fab here, right behind Molimo. There's now DRS deploying for all our drivers in this DRS train, but not quite enough for Fab Donoso to try and make a move, as he's going to go wide and then try and cut in, but once again that door is slammed shut by Molimo as Zozo has left the session. Now heading towards the top once again. Loureiro, Dark Zenice and Co. will all stay out. Once again, I imagine we're heading towards their pit window, probably this lap or next lap. They will be in as Kairano Ritual actually pulls the trigger, is already in, so he's going to be doing 11 laps on those medium tyres. You do wonder, is 11 laps maybe a little too much for those tyres? We did see Alex Santana do 12 laps, but look at where he is now. He is down in provisional, second to last in this race. So it's didn't quite work out for him. But now Kairano Ritual will rejoin in, well, stone dead last, or second to last. Max Walpers will be stone dead last, as you can see. These two are not even close to the car behind, which is George Hansel. 7.5 seconds is the gap between himself and the BRC driver, who is in 15th at the moment. And still, Fab Donoso crawls all over the back of Molimo. He just has to get rid of this Mercedes, and then he is right behind his teammate of Balin Elakis, who may well let him through to try and attack with those newer tyres on Aaron Ramirez, who holds the net race leaders Alejandro Loureiro and Dark Zenice, as you see both come into the pit lane. So that will bring Ramirez back into the net race lead once again. As now here we go, round the outside tries Donoso, little rub with the Mercedes wheel, not quite enough to get it done there, but now As you see, Raminguez got overtaken by Bailing Elikers there, and is still trying to fight it around the outside. Banging of wheels, and that will be Elikers into P1. Raminguez now gonna have to rally himself and go again next lap, unless he tries to go for it here through Cops, but he does not. He turns his ERS off, goes into recharge mode, and he will wait at least until this next DRS straight to go for it here. It's now towards the DRS zone. We go, Aaron Raminguez. Not quite able to make the move stick there, but now we head towards lap 18 of 26, and things starting to begin to change towards the top of the standings, which is not something we have seen so far this race particularly. This is going to be another 1-2 for TRT. Do you reckon? Get your predictions in the chat. Do you think this is going to be a TRT 1-2? Do you think Aaron Raminguez can get himself back into P1 past Bailing Elikers? Do you think Malimo can hold Fab Donoso off for the rest of the race? Holy jinx, says AMR Luis. Well, let's hope for TRT's sake that it was not a jinx and that they will get the 1-2, as Tilla Chembak said. As now behind Alex Santana, getting himself past Thomas Robotham, going off track a little bit to complete the overtake, but it was done just before he went off track, so it will be fine. TRT for the win, says VNT Mikulus. We will see. I mean, they're looking like a pretty good bet at the moment, but with Fab Donoso struggling to dispatch of Malimo for the last few laps, you do wonder if they will get that 1-2. And Malimo is actually starting to fall away from Aaron Raminguez and Bailing Elikers, so maybe there'll be an opportunity, as now there will be, for Aaron Raminguez. Down the inside he goes. Max Walpers DNFs in the pit lane, and Bailing defends it well, but now with DRS, here comes Aaron Raminguez. He's not quite going to be close enough to go for it. He doesn't, and he will sit behind, at least for now. Oh, hello Alex, look at this tyre delta. Yeah, his tyres are pretty new. And I mean, if he can start moving himself up the order, potentially he can play a factor in this race, because of course he is on 5-lap-old tyres, and the newest tyres ahead of him are 7 laps on Fab Donoso's car, so he has a pretty nice offset compared to the rest of the grid, as high as 5 laps on some people, so looking pretty good for him at the moment. Alex Santana is in a good position. Yeah, he is. He is in a very good position at the moment. He just needs to start picking his way through the pack, using those tyres to full effect, and he will see results. Oh, a little bit of contact from Fab Donoso, braking a little bit later than Malimo there, and we're starting to head towards the point where Fab Donoso just kind of has to go for it if he wants to get himself past Malimo and fighting Aaron Raminguez. He needs to just go for it pretty soon. He's running out of time and running out of laps as things stand. His TRT teammate of Bailing Elikers is doing a good job at the moment of holding Raminguez off, but you do wonder how long he can do that for. As I think here we go, this could be the overtake for Fab Denoso. He needs a good exit, and it potentially could be the overtake. Malimo gets the better exit, as now D'Amico was actually gaining there on Denoso, but wasn't close enough to make it stick. As now to lap 21 of 26. 6 laps to go in this race. As now Alejandro Loureiro up to 8th place he goes. He is also in a pretty good position as well. He's on new mediums compared to the old hards. I mean, you do wonder if those mediums will hold to the end. They will definitely go to the end, but will they hold good grip to the end of the race? Alejandro might win potentially. I mean, he is very, very fast, and you see him just absolutely blow straight past Alex Osinas. Not even a competition there. So Loureiro potentially, from retiring from qualifying, could be on for an incredible position, because those mediums are absolutely carrying him at the moment. He is flying on them. As Max Walpers leads the session, he was out of the race quite a long while ago. So nothing that will affect the race there. And once again, Fab Denoso, he's just stuck. He's just stuck behind Malimo. It's as simple as that. He can't get close enough to make the move. He's just completely and utterly stuck. Denoso is. But what about Loureiro? What can he do as he gets on the DRS a little bit? Using once again. Not going to be close enough to go for it on Santana, but could set it up through here. Santana gets a little bit out of whack. This is going to open an opportunity potentially for Loureiro to have a little look at an overtake. DRS opens now, but I think Santana could well go for it on D'Amico. He's not going to be close enough. I thought maybe there was an opportunity. He thought about it then, but it wasn't quite close enough for him to do it. As now, back to the race leaders. And Balin Elikers still leads the race since getting himself past Aaron Ramirez. He has done a really good job of holding a position. And the AMR driver in Ramirez has not quite had an answer so far. He's still very, very close, but he's not really making that much ground up at the moment either. Mediums dying. Probably. The mediums probably are dying there. They don't last very long here at Silverstone, mediums. They'll only have the pace advantage for probably around 5-6 laps. That's all it looked like for a minute. Ramirez maybe was going to think about an overtake. Gets a little bit of wheel on the grass, which slows up his exit. And now is 4/10 back. So won't go for it through here. Won't go for an overtake. So Balin Elikers still remains in P1. P3 guy on negative wings. Yeah, definitely. You can see there he's not using it all, and he is still gaining in a straight line, so probably what he very well could be. As now DRS once again, Elikers, as you can see, on the recharge. Ramirez closes up, but still not close enough. And we remain as we are for another little while. And Loureiro's progress, by the way, has completely halted. He is right behind Santana, but has done nothing else since. Same with Santana, he got himself past Alex Osinas and has not really done anything since. So it has actually been, and same with Donoso, it's been track position, which has proven to be the most important factor here today, because although these guys behind have better tyres, yada yada yada, Balin Ellikers and Aaron Ramirez, who were the first two to come into the pit lane, are still 1 and 2, despite Fab Donoso behind them having 3 lap newer tyres, Alex Santana having 10 lap newer tyres. It has been track position, which has proven to be more important than a tyre offset so far, and I mean Malimo is beginning to lose touch for Fab Donoso's sake. He will be hoping that they can lose touch, that Malimo will drop out of DRS, because then that will increase his opportunity to overtake the ET8 driver who has held him up for so long in this race. How can people burn so low wings but still don't lose DRS? No idea. This game is so dog it won't get better in the DLC. I literally was talking about this between qualifying runs. Yeah, I personally agree, Florian. I don't really think the DLC is going to change that much. I still think it's going to be a buggy mess. But you know, that is the wonderful and mental game that we call F1 25. It's just a little bit of a difficult game, isn't it? I think it's fair to say, but that is what you get when you have a game made by EA. But that is all I'm going to say on the topic, because I don't want to get myself into trouble. As now Fab Donoso 3 tenths behind, still not able to close at all. And Balin Ellikers, by the way, has absolutely turned the burners on this lap. He was 7 tenths ahead at one point and is still around 7 tenths ahead at the moment. So a good lap from him. The issue is slipstream, not even the dirty air, because everyone is on solo wings. Just buff the slip and you're good. I mean, yeah, to be fair, because as we've seen today, it has just been a DRS train. So literally, track position has been so important. So despite Alex Santana having 5 lap newer tyres, he's just done nothing, because there's just been no opportunity for him to overtake, because everyone's had DRS and that's it. As Fab Donoso down the inside, the Mercedes of Malimo spins. Donoso went for it, and I think there was contact between himself and the TRT driver of Donoso, so that was very unfortunate, and that drops Malimo all the way down to 11th place and out of the points. Fair move. Well, we didn't actually capture it on stream. We were on board with Ramirez and Ellikers. We just heard the contact behind, so that'll be something that I'm sure the stewards will probably look at. But now, as you see, Ramirez is still very close to the back of Ellikers, but as it would seem, the TRT driver has been saving his ERS a little bit better for this final sprint towards Stowe. Here we go, DRS opens now, but I don't think Ramirez is going to be close enough, so it will be Balin Ellikers, as things stand, that will win the race. So in the end, ladies and gentlemen, it was track position which reigned supreme. Balin Ellikers, he bided his time, and then when the opportunity to overtake came, he took it. The TRT driver of Balin Ellikers will win here in Silverstone. It will be Aaron Ramirez for AMR second. Fab Donoso comes home in third. D'Amico fourth. Alex Santana fifth. Alejandro Loureiro sixth. Alex Osinas seventh. And we will have a full run through of the order in a few moments. P4 for D'Amico, yep. Yeah, very good race for him. All ball ref, says Tiller. I'm sure the stewards will have something to say about the incident, but that is something for them to deal with. I'm sure we'll hear in the post race. what they think once the stewards report comes out, but there you are. That is the podium for round 8 here at Silverstone. It was a race of strategy, that is for sure, and in the end it was Baylen Ellikers' strategy which proved to be the best. So then one final run through of the order: Baylen Ellikers P1, Aaron Mingo 2nd, Fab Donoso 3rd, D'Amico 4th, Alex Santana 5th, Alejandro Loureiro 6th, Alex Osina 7th, Casper 8th, George Ansell 9th, Malimo 10th, Noah Raza 11th, Adam Stachnik 12th, Bennett Hatter 13th, Dark Zanice 14th, Kairano Ritual 15th, Thomas Robotham 16th, and then we lost Max Walpers, Zozo, and Tachubi. Well, there we are, ladies and gentlemen. That is the end of the race. Again, apologies for there being no camera. Hopefully, this should be fixed for next week. And speaking of, we will head to Spain for the Spanish Grand Prix. So join us for that. Thank you all very much for watching, and we will see you next week for round 9. Goodbye.